Gomorrah world. The stories of Sodom and Gomorrah are prophetic foreshadows of the end times. The prophetic spiritual Sodom and the prophetic spiritual Gomorrah. And going over this, we see these two accounts and testimonies. It will testify and fulfill the law of Deuteronomy chapter 19 that says, out of the mouth of two witnesses a matter is established. The first story begins with the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah coming by the word of two. Genesis chapter 18 verse 20 says, "And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous." Okay, we see here first that the Lord talks about Sodom and Gomorrah and that their sin being grievous. Then we see the question about if Sodom has righteous left in it, that God will spare the city if there's any left in the city. Genesis chapter 18 verse 26 through 33. "And the Lord said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes." But what does the righteous mean? It means right standing in the law of God. He goes on to talk about how many would remain in the city, and he continues on in verse 27 and 28. "And Abraham answered and said, Behold, now I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. Peradventure there shall lack 5 of the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city for lack of 5? And he said, If I find there 45, I will not destroy it." He keeps going on into the discussion and bringing the number down lower to see if there would be any left to be saved, if there was even just but one. Genesis chapter 18 verse 29 through 31. "And he spake unto him yet again and said, Peradventure there be 40 found there. And he said, I will not do it for 40's sake. And he said unto them, O let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Peradventure there shall be 30 found there. And he said, I will not do it, if I find 30 there. And he said, Behold, now I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord. Peradventure there shall be 20 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 20's sake. And he continues on, and says, He will not destroy it if there's 20 righteous in the city. And he said, O let not the Lord be angry, I will speak yet but this once. Peradventure 10 be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And the Lord went his way, and as soon as he had left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned into his place. Now watch this. We then see 2 are sent into Sodom to tell everybody to leave, to tell the righteous to leave. The Lord wanted to smite the city. Genesis chapter 19 verse 1. "And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat at the gate of Sodom, and Lot seeing them rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And it came to pass, when he had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain, escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed." And this is all a prophetic foreshadow of the end times Sodom and Gomorrah found in the prophecy of the end times. And what we'll see here, Revelation chapter 11 verse 3, "And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth." So what we see here is 2 sent into spiritual Sodom to prophesy for 1,260 days. Revelation chapter 11 verse 6, "These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will." And then we see that Jerusalem is the spiritual Sodom, which everybody's told to leave. Revelation chapter 11 verse 8, "And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom in Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified." And we see 2 telling everybody to leave for those 1,260 days. The woman needs to leave and go out into the wilderness and escape to the mountains for those 1,260 days, just like Sodom. So we have 2 telling the woman to leave and go out into the wilderness and flee to the mountains and escape during those 1,260 days. So we see 2 telling the woman to leave, the people, the righteous, to leave out into the wilderness. Revelation chapter 12 verse 14. "And the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time from the face of the serpent." And this woman is the righteous, who keeps the commandments of God and has the testimony of Jesus Christ, just like the righteous were told to leave out of Sodom and Gomorrah. Revelation chapter 12 verse 17. "And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ." So we see the righteous have been taken out of Sodom, and the plagues come for 1,260 days. So what we see is a spiritual Sodom, and what about the spiritual Gomorrah? Because the 2 are testifying of something. Spiritual Sodom, we obviously see that spiritual Sodom testifies of the righteous leaving out of spiritual Sodom out into the wilderness. But what about Gomorrah? Gomorrah is the world. And what happened in Gomorrah? Plagues came down and they destroyed Gomorrah. Right? So the people need to exodus out of spiritual Gomorrah, out of the world, and gather at Jerusalem, and then exodus out of spiritual Sodom. Because the plagues will come upon spiritual Sodom, and they will also come upon spiritual Gomorrah. And this is the end times remnant gathering of the people of the righteous out of spiritual Gomorrah, which is the world. Isaiah chapter 13, verse 2 through 4 says, "Lift ye up a banner upon a high mountain, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my sanctified ones. I also called my mighty ones from mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. The noise of the multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the hosts of the battle. And this is the gathering of the righteous out of the world, which is spiritual Gomorrah." And we gather the nations. We gather those remnant out of spiritual Gomorrah to come and get out of spiritual Gomorrah. Because spiritual Gomorrah is going to have plagues coming on the nations. And we get all of the righteous gathered to one spot at spiritual Sodom. And then we get those out of spiritual Sodom to exodus out into the wilderness for those 42 months, because the plagues and the wrath will come upon spiritual Sodom. And this is the prophecy of spiritual Sodom and Gomorrah, and how this will come upon the end times, and how this is prophetically foreshadowed in the Old Testament in the book of Genesis, chapter 18 and chapter 19. And this is the prophecy of spiritual Gomorrah.